What's happening, everyone? It is Monday, March 25th. We are into round three of the NCAA men's side of the bracket. I'm Steve Metrics with your boy,
DJ Triggs.
and together we are No Debate Sports. And after one weekend, Triggs, how are your brackets looking?
Man, I'm pulling it up right now. It is looking absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I got some of that too. I definitely have a lower left corner, which I was trying to play spoiler, and it is red. It is all red.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I was gung ho on New Mexico and St. Mary's, and no dice.
like the only reason that my bracket looks really bad is just the fact that I picked Kentucky to
Oh
go
yeah,
to.
we all did. It's okay.
It, yeah, and once I looked up that you know like 20% of the world picked Kentucky, so I was just kind of like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
well, now I don't feel that bad.
no, it could totally be worse. I mean, to me, it gives us definitely a much better idea moving forward with kind of how that university works. They, for whatever reason, the Kentucky guys, they just don't get it done. They're one and dones. I know there's a good amount of that in today's college basketball, but still, for whatever reason, the way John Calipari works it, he gets them in, he gets them to the NBA, and they do squat in the tournament ever since they lost that game to Wisconsin back with Sam Decker and Frank the Tank. They've just been on a total tailspin ever since.
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin, man, I don't even know how I feel about them.
Oh, I told
Like,
you they did exactly what I'd expect them to do. No, nothing
but
against them. I think they are a very good squad. I like the team they got. I like what they built this year. But James Madison was just a buzzsaw. Like pretty much
no,
that
but
style
they
of
weren't
basketball
though.
against James Madison, whoever it was going to run into that.
But they weren't. Wisconsin just missed every shot. Like they were wide open. I'm trying to pull up the box score right now because it makes me so angry.
Bummer.
Wisconsin shot 37%.
Oh,
37%.
that's not going to win any basketball game.
Right. It wouldn't win against anyone. And the fact that they only lost by I want to say like 10. Like
Yeah.
when you literally can't hit a shot to save your life. They shot better from 3-point land than they did their overall field goal percentage.
Oh
That's
man, that's
horrible.
weird. Yeah, that's
And that was
really rough.
38% compared to 37%. Like they stopped James Madison from scoring. I mean, they
Sure.
only shot 40%. They shot 29% from 3, and like I mean, the difference was 6 free throws and shooting 37%. Like
Yeah. That will do it.
yeah, that game, like just watching that game as a fan, not even as an NCAA bracket, but as just
Yeah.
a fan, it was such bad basketball on both sides. Both
Okay.
like, it was horrible. I
Yeah,
mean,
I've seen games like that in the past. It's definitely frustrating to see that. During that game, I was a little tied up, so I didn't get to see too much of it. But yeah, that is definitely frustrating when you see a game where both teams are just missing baskets left and right, and they're just
Wis-
not going in. And you're like, man, what is going on here?
let me put it this way: Wisconsin scored 20 in the first half.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Yeah,
I watched the game at the start of the tournament where I saw Virginia 10 minutes left in the game had 14.
but
So, ugh,
but you can't do that when you're the 5 seed. Like
right.
that's what bothers me. And they just went on this long run in the Big Ten tournament, and like they beat Purdue, who's a number
Yeah.
one seed, and overtime. And this is why it bothers me that they lost to James Madison. Duke beat them by 40.
Yeah, they did. They just crushed them. They just
Like,
absolutely crushed them.
and when you look at that game, like um, James Madison shot about 40% again, and Duke shot 52%.
Sure. Yeah, it's definitely yeah, when you go kind of ice cold like that and the other team is just doing all right, they're gonna kind of almost look like they blow you out of the water.
Yeah, and to me, it wasn't like oh, James Madison was better than Wisconsin. Like that, not even close. They had no chance. But when you can't hit wide open shot, like I remember there was a possession where Wisconsin had like five layups under the rim because they got like offensive rebounds,
Yep.
dribbled it out, took a shot, came under, caught a rebound, went back up twice. The guy gets his rebound, passes it out, and they missed like five shots on one possession.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to look good in the field goal percentage part of the
Yeah.
statistics. Yeah.
And it's not going to look good when you score 20 points and a half. Like, just such disappointment.
That's no debate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, I was kind of bringing this up to a friend that I was talking to at work, and we were talking about how like next season we're definitely gonna have more analytics, machine learning on these teams going into the tournament. And one of the things that I want to bring up that I didn't do for this season, but I would definitely like to do next year is rebounding. I think rebounding definitely matters. It's indicative of size and kind of just I don't know, intensity under the basket in the paint, that kind of area. I definitely like seeing that. And we were talking about the difference between offensive rebounding and defensive rebounding and which one means more. Or do they both really tell you a story in themselves? And are they both important? And from you being a coach, I wonder what you think on that.
So I've tried to like battle this one with myself,
Yeah.
especially offensive rebounds. I think mm, I hope no one gets mad at me. Uh, I think offensive rebound is kind of lucky. Um,
I agree because it's kind of how the ball caroms off the rim. It's kind
yeah,
of odd. It's kind of unique on how it goes. But if you get a defensive rebound, that's a possession. That's big.
mhm. and it's from an offensive miss
It
where the
is.
defense gets the ball and usually ends up in a fast break. But
Yes.
like offensive rebounds, if let's just say I box you out under the paint and I'm the
Yep.
defender
Yep.
and the ball goes long, well, who's closer? You
Me.
are. So
Hmm.
like I do everything I'm supposed to do and I do it the right way, and yet I don't get the ball.
Yeah, and I think
And
that's really interesting because you said defensive rebound and fast break. So if we were to see a correlation between defensive rebounds and pace, that would be something.
oh, yeah, that's probably where it hits. Like
Yeah.
I try to think about it with like the way things are done now. So like
Sure.
threes, when you miss a three pointer, it doesn't just go straight up and down for like
Mm-mm.
uh, a defensive rebound. It usually goes far,
Yeah.
and you tend to get your miss back. So like,
Yes.
yeah, I would assume defense is way more important than offense.
Because it
And then
translates back into a possession going the opposite way. And that kind of gives you an advantage in a way.
it tells you who's missing more.
It does. It does. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing too. So yeah, it could work towards defensive field goal percentage in a way as well. Yeah, that's pretty interesting actually. So I like that actually. That's a pretty cool way to bring that all together. Is definitely bringing defensive overall shooting into that too. So that's pretty cool. The other one too that I'd like to bring in, and I don't want to have too many crazy things, but also a assist to turnover ratio. I know that's something that you probably understand better than I do too, but seeing kind of that volatility of how teams are distributing the ball and how wild they get.
You know what? I was actually starting to look up things that affect games, and
Yes.
even in the James Madison game, uh, Wisconsin had more assists, and they were one less rebound. So like kind of making me wonder here.
Yeah, for sure,
Like
for sure.
Wisconsin did everything right. They just couldn't shoot.
Yep. No, that definitely matters. I mean, you got to have a way to either set people up for open shots, or you have to use that distributing of the ball to generate points. I mean, in a way, you're working them together, but you definitely have different styles that you can get from distributing the ball. Or if you get too wild with it and you're turning it over, then that works against you.
Yeah. Turnovers are a big one. Like
Yeah.
points off turnovers kill anyone, especially like I'm trying to think what team runs a really good full court press. I mean, James Madison was doing it against Wisconsin in the second half,
Yeah.
but
The Rick
um,
Pitino teams,
yeah,
like Louisville, New Mexico, St. John's.
yeah, um, like turnovers cause you to um, cause time to lapse a little bit, and when I say that, I mean like the offense is moving one way, and when the turnover happens, it moves negative for the offense and goes
Yeah, and they might
backwards.
still be moving that way.
Exactly. They're moving forward still. And let's say it's the point guard, but your center, your power forward, your wings are down the court, and the point guard drops the ball. All those guys are moving backwards, where the defender is pointing the way the ball is now moving. And so
Right.
those defenders, it takes a lot longer for a guy to turn and run than a guy to just straight run.
Right. Totally. Totally. Yeah, that's definitely something that matters, especially with that full court press. Which teams can generate more full court press and tend to uh, do well doing it, I think is a thing. I don't know exactly what Connecticut does, but from the little bit I've seen of Connecticut play, it seems like they can work the entire court pretty well and get down court pretty quick.
Yeah, and I mean their guards, they are moving the ball, they can shoot. They have a great combination back there. Um which one of the things I will give like some of these lower seeds is they have really big guards.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, this tournament more than anyone I've seen in the past definitely has more size across almost every team.
Yeah. What did they say about the guy from Purdue? Why am I blanking
Oh,
his name? He played on
Zach
ESPN.
Edey,
Yeah, they said the guy grew like 4 inches or something. I was like,
holy
what?
smokes!
Yeah.
Wow,
They said he
that's
could
pretty
be
wild.
7'4".
He's 7'4".
Let me make sure I'm looking that up. I'm
Yeah,
talking
because if
about the
that
right
were the
guy.
case, he would basically be identical to Victor Wembanyama. Then,
Yeah, that's
hmm.
it. I heard that and I was just like, what in the world is happening to people?
Yeah, I just feel like his movement is so not the way it should be. To me, like he moves worse than Victor Wembanyama, but he moves better than Taco Fall.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I got him, and that's not the
Yeah.
greatest.
They have him at
So
7'4", 300 pounds on ESPN.
holy smokes. Yeah, that's it's pretty massive. I mean, he can definitely have his way inside the hoop and doing his thing, and that's definitely big. I just think, to me, over the last 3 years, I still think this is. I know that last year's Purdue team went out in the first round, but to me, like this doesn't have that kind of vibe of a really good Purdue team. I'm
No.
just not. Yeah, honestly, I think it's one of the worst of the last 3 to 5 years Purdue teams. Even though they're going into the Sweet 16 now, I think Gonzaga is going to be a wake up call for them, man. I really think Gonzaga is a better team. I know St. Mary's is out of it, but I think St. Mary's and Gonzaga, the style they play, is a style of play that can match up really well against Purdue.
Right. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Is I mean, I had what Utah State, I think, beating them,
Yes.
just because of their style and like Purdue's a they almost play old school basketball.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about Zach Edey. Like he's not going to the 3-point line. He's not shooting jump shots. He shoots 62% because he goes in the paint and just punishes people.
Right.
Um, but they don't feed him all the time. I mean, he averages 25 points a game, which is great. But
Right.
some of these other teams that have these fast guards and bring him out away from the paint, then what can he do?
Exactly. I just don't think Zach Edey is that much of a shooter. Whereas Victor Wembanyama, he can shoot. Even with the Lakers, Anthony Davis is a really good shooter. Like these bigger guys that can shoot, it's just a different animal. I
Mhm.
know he's not the greatest shooter, but I still think Giannis has a really good mid range jump shot. At times, he can
Oh,
be clutch at the three, but I just feel like some of these guys, like they're big, they're lumbering, and they have their dominance in the paint. But then when they get to the mid range or the perimeter, it's just kind of eh.
see, I completely I have debates with people all the time about Giannis's mid range. Giannis is a very good mid range shooter,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
way like actually above average three mid range shooter. Um,
Yeah,
and for his size and position, he's an average 3-point shooter. So
cool.
like people, I don't know where they get this crazy idea that like he can't shoot. Like he's been
Oh,
able to
that's
shoot
wrong.
from mid range since he came in the league.
Yeah, and plus, like when he rose to power, that was when Kawhi was doing his thing with Toronto. And to me, I know they're totally different sizes in the height of the player, but the way he shoots his mid range to me is almost identical to Kawhi Leonard's.
And
So that's why it's a really good shot.
yeah, the only difference is Kawhi's kind of a flat shooter, and Giannis like tends to push it up.
Yep, yep.
And I mean that's probably just because he's 5, 6 inches taller too.
Oh yeah, totally. But definitely with Milwaukee Bucks games now, to me, there's just more of a more natural, more fluid, better way of shooting with Giannis going on right now. Just watching the games, it's really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah,
It's a very fluid way of shooting. So I think he's got his thing, and we'll see what happens, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, that's kind of the thing that I see an advantage with taller guys like that. Even what's his name on Marquette has that same style of shot that looks really really good. But to me, Marquette looks really solid now that they have both their big guys doing their things. And
and
that was
their
my
lead
concern.
guard.
Yeah, exactly. I know Colorado kind of gave him a run, and that's where I was concerned was, yeah, I didn't know the health status of that player. If he was out, I 100% think Colorado would have won that game. But with him in there, it was a good fight. And honestly, I think Marquette's going to win against NC State pretty handedly. I've seen
Yep.
NC State play about 3 times now over the last couple of weeks, and their big guy is he's good for a mid major. You're going up against a powerhouse D1 school that has multiple guys with size. I think Marquette's going to just run them out of the gym. I think this game is going to be a blowout by almost like 20 points.
Marquette has a good shot of making the Final Four now. I mean,
They do.
having
And
all of their
I
guys
honestly
back.
I don't know. Like Duke, I think Duke could be kind of physical. Honestly, if they go up against Houston, I don't see that game being close either. I think Houston, sure, they'll try to do their full court press Virginia style of basketball, but they don't have size like Marquette has. It'd be like probably someone out there did it. But if anyone put Houston in the championship game against Connecticut, no one thinks that game would be close. Connecticut would just annihilate them. They're too big. Eh, Houston is good at what they do, but they're a bunch of like guards playing full court press.
Yeah, I mean they got what? Why am I blanking? They're the Big 12 now, right?
Yes, they former American
And they got blown out by 40. I want to say in
against
the
Iowa State.
yep.
And Iowa State to me kind of is built about the same way as Duke. And I think neither of them have the size that Marquette has.
No. and Marquette plays two pretty big forwards. I know they
Yeah,
don't
they
call
do.
them centers
Right.
really in college, but I think they have like a 7-footer and maybe like a 6'8", 6'9" guy. Um,
Yes. Yeah,
but their guards are pretty solid.
they are. Yeah, they got the shooting. They know how to play in transition. Shaka Smart's got that. Pretty much all of his guys playing either some kind of full court press or some kind of style that we've seen Dwayne Wade kind of play over the years too. That is perfect for what Shaka Smart does. I, at this point, I think this bracket is totally set up for Marquette.
Yeah,
I totally think it is, and that was the thing too, is if I knew the status 100% certain for that Marquette player was healthy, I just look at this bracket now and I just don't think it's close. And I think Tennessee is honestly going to be a tough matchup. I think Tennessee has the ability to fight through some of this size. I just don't think Tennessee has the ability to fight through like a Connecticut, or I do think the Marquette game would be tough. I think that game would be very tight. Um, Possibly the Gonzaga game too, if it ends up being that way. But we'll see. We'll see how this bracket and the right side matches up. But just being the way I've thought from the get go, I just feel outside of Marquette, I feel like the left side of the bracket is just built with way more power than the right side, unless Marquette shows up.
hmm. Now you're making me go back to look at what the bracket looks like. But
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we get out of the right, if we get a Marquette, Tennessee, or Gonzaga, I think that's a thing. I don't feel too good about Houston, Duke, um, Purdue, possibly Creighton, but there's times where Creighton doesn't match up. If Creighton's not shooting, they're done.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're 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 spot on with that. Just looking at the East and the West, like
Yeah,
Iowa State, we talked about beating Houston and having Illinois up there who played pretty well in the Big Ten tournament,
right.
um, and in Arizona and in North Carolina out there.
Yeah,
I mean, we did talk about how the East had three of the last four or the final four from last year, and like look what happens. UConn is popping out, showing how much dominance they have, and yeah, I don't know. Now I'm kind of intrigued by that to see who on that right side can actually move through.
yeah. I think it does. I mean, other than to me, the top three teams on the right side, which are Houston, Duke, and NC State, I think the bottom is what's going to end up in the championship game. I think some combination of Marquette, Purdue, Gonzaga, Creighton, or Tennessee. I think one of those five is in the championship, but honestly, I don't think it's Purdue. That,
Yeah,
that's one I think of those five. I think Purdue is the least likely to be in the championship game.
right. And no one was worried about Gonzaga. I mean, 5 seed, right?
We should have been.
Tennessee. I honestly don't even know how Tennessee's a 2 seed. Uh,
What, you
like
think they should be
that's
a one?
no, I think that's a little too high to be honest.
Oh my!
Um,
I watched Tennessee's first game, or I've watched some of both of Tennessee's games, and man, they look awesome. Them and Marquette look really, really solid.
but this is the same team that lost to like South Carolina and
South
Mississippi
Carolina was
State,
good.
Texas A&M. Like
Texas A&M's good.
they're okay. They're not good. They're okay. Um, I don't know. I just every time they played a really good school like a Purdue, a Kansas, North Carolina, they kind of got just ran out of the gym, and it
Okay.
like even Kentucky beat them by
Yeah.
4 at one point, but they got completely massacred by Mississippi State, and it
Okay.
like to me that doesn't scream 2 seed to me.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
Because when I look at like a team like Arizona, who's also the 2 seed on the other side, like I don't really see any bad losses. I mean they lost to Purdue, Florida,
They do have a
Illinois,
bad one against Wazoo. Is definitely one. And
Washington State,
yes,
but
Washington's.
they were ranked 21 at the time that they lost to them, and they lost by 3.
Okay. They also have a weird loss against Southern Cal, and that team's garbage. I watched that game actually.
Yeah, yep. That was after they beat them by like 30 the previous time. So yeah,
Yeah,
that was, and then the next week they beat them by 31 or 21.
yeah. I mean, they're clearly a better team. They are. Excuse me.
Like,
They are a really really good team.
and
To be
they've
honest.
also beaten Duke, they've beaten Michigan State.
Yep.
You know, they've beaten teams like Oregon, who's on their own, that was on their own Cinderella. They beat Colorado. Like,
Right.
they actually played solid tournament teams,
Right.
which in my eyes makes them a 2 seed. I I don't know. Like, I'm gonna go through Iowa State as I'm talking and wandering.
Yeah.
Um, like
I
Iowa
think them
State,
and North Carolina should have been flipped for ones and
yeah,
twos. Yeah.
and Iowa State, they beat teams like Houston, TCU, Kansas,
Yep.
um, Texas is in there, BYU, Baylor, and then they
That's a
beat
pretty
Houston
good.
again
Yeah, that's
by
real good.
28. It's like they have a ton of good wins on their schedule. Yeah, I just
Yes.
don't. Tennessee just surprised me that they were up that high.
Okay.
Oh, and obviously
Yeah.
Marquette being a 2 seed. Let's see what they got here. Um, I know Marquette's got a ton of good wins.
Yes.
Illinois, they beat Kansas. They lost to Purdue by 3. They beat Texas, Creighton. Um,
Villanova.
yep, Villanova's a good one.
Yep.
Couple times there. I
Yep.
know they lost to UConn pretty big in
Seton
the East
Hall's
tournament.
no slouch either,
Yeah,
or is Providence.
agreed. So it's
Yeah.
like they have some solid wins on their schedule too. I don't know. Tennessee just rubs me the wrong way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. I mean, I'm just saying I've watched them play, and it's like, man, there is something going on there. So I like them. I mean, they could definitely go down to Creighton, but to me, it's got a little different look. I mean, the Texas game did get a little dicey for a little bit, but yeah, like Tennessee's just got a cool vibe about them. I like the way they're moving. It's a pretty cool looking team. I do definitely think Creighton is going to be kind of a team that wants to go almost as fast paced as them, and they can shoot. They can totally shoot. So it's going to be something that they have to stop. If Creighton just has their way and can shoot, they will shoot you out of the gym.
Right. And I don't know. I'm just the Tennessee or the Texas game didn't really put any eye or like move my needle at all.
Yeah,
But Creighton had to get through Oregon in that 2 overtime game, and
Oregon's
that
tough.
kind of showed that toughness that they have. And I don't
Yes.
know. I think Creighton's ready for something like Tennessee.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. I totally agree with that. Oregon to me was a very oddball 11 seed, and I kind of thought they would be like at least greater than 9 is kind of what I would think with an Oregon, just from what I'm used to over the years, and knowing how many guys return to Oregon and how many times Dana Altman wins in the first round, and kind of what their perspective is moving forward. And plus, next year will be the final season of COVID eligibility. So we know Oregon's going to return players. They're going to be tough. They are. I believe this is also the end of the Pac-12, at least on the men's side of college athletics. So they're going to be in. Boy, this is going to be weird for college hoops. They're going to be in the Big Ten. That's going to be wild, man. The Big Ten is going to get some powerhouse both for football and basketball. But at least from the basketball side, I mean, you're putting in at least two really good schools from way out west. So that's pretty cool.
So then the other thing I was just looking at with Tennessee is like they hit 3 3-pointers in their second game against Texas. Um, Texas just happened to shoot as bad as they did,
Yep.
and they hit 12% of their threes. So like
Yeah.
Creighton's
Creighton's
hit
not going to do
10
that.
plus threes in every game in this tournament. So like, and they just hit 15 against Oregon. So like, if Creighton shoots the three, Tennessee doesn't have a chance.
Exactly. Like I'm pretty sure our guy Zach Golke from Pewaukee shot that many threes in 2 games with Oakland
By himself.
by himself. I saw too right before I came on for our podcast that his teammate, I forgot the guy's first name, but his last name's like Momlavovich, is playing on Iowa State, and he's one of their better players.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so together they were teammates at Pewaukee.
I have a little beef with Oakland, but that's fine. I
Oh
mean,
no! What did they ever do to you in the Horizon League?
they stopped UWM in the championship game.
Oh yeah, that will do it.
Yeah,
That is a bummer. Yeah, my alma mater, my UWM Panthers. They're actually turned the corner, man. They're looking pretty good. I would definitely keep my eye on Milwaukee for next season. I think there's definitely something good going on there.
yeah. I'm assuming this Oakland kid's this Pewaukee kid is probably going to go to like a solid mid major. I don't know if like a major school is going to pick him up just because of his shooting, but
Yeah,
who knows?
yeah. I believe the transfer portal opens up like now.
Yeah,
I thought I've heard the transfer portal for hoops opens up in like the Elite Eight.
yeah.
So
Well, actually, some kids, I call them kids, but
yeah,
some guys have already said they're like leaving.
okay,
There's a major player for Wisconsin that's already put his name in the portal.
yeah, yeah. And to be honest, I mean, like we kind of pointed this out last episode. I think when it comes to college hoops, your kind of big name conference that you kind of want to show up in is either the Big East, the Big 12, or to me, I really think it's the SEC. I think those three conferences just kind of on notoriety and kind of the style of basketball that people watch when it comes to men's basketball. To me, those are the three big conferences that people really, really take note of. I mean, the Big Ten is the Big Ten, but it's more of a football conference than it is a basketball conference.
And the ACC has all the blue bloods, but at the same time, those are usually one and done guys.
Yeah, it is. But then, like, the ACC has gotten kind of like weird and not what it once was from. I mean, like, the powerhouses that are kind of part of that conference have kind of almost like not relevant, or it was kind of, I don't know, to me it kind of felt like almost like Connecticut would have been part of that conference. But you have the things of, you just have like this weird hodgepodge, and to be honest, you really only have about three and almost a half a team in like Clemson, even though Clemson's really good now. You pretty much only have either North Carolina, Duke, and Miami. Those are your three like real perennial ACC teams that show up. Clemson is there now. We also know Wake Forest has been a really good team over the last couple of seasons. So maybe next year they punch their way into the tournament and they could be trouble. They definitely score a ton of points. They go really fast. Wake Forest is a thing, but the ACC just doesn't have that feel where I know like back in the days of like college and high school that ACC was like the best conference in the nation, like getting 11 schools into the tournament. And those days are long gone.
I mean, now the Mountain West gets the most teams in this tournament. I have no idea why.
Yeah. People have definitely pointed that out, and I was hearing no respect during the tournament, and now I'm hearing people say, "Why did they get 7 teams into the tournament?"
When the Big East
I
only got 3.
Yeah, that's pretty bizarre. The Big East is solid. I still have no explanation or clue why Seton Hall is not in this tournament. And from what I've seen too, Providence looked pretty good too. So I really don't get it. There's some really weird things going on. Virginia had no business being in this tournament either. They're an ACC team, but they look like absolute garbage from just watching them. And actually, if you actually just pulled up their metrics, they cannot move the ball and they cannot score points. So I don't know how that's eligible for being in the tournament.
Right. And that was verified in that game.
It was that game was just unwatchable. And like I told you about me watching Ravens games during the NFL season, I also fell asleep during the Virginia game. That was unwatchable. So that's no debate.
Boom. I was
Boom.
going to say it.
Exactly. So that's going on there. Something to point out before we wrap up with the men's college hoops. I gave something a try with kind of playing with some of the spicier teams that we were hoping would pull upsets and trying to do like this 4-way round robin parlay that if any combination of these teams won, I would get paid. And ironically, one of the 4 teams I took was the advice from you about Yale. So because I took Yale, I literally got half of my bet back. And if I would have gotten another team from that, like probably an NC State, if I really should have gone with NC State instead of what I went with College of Charleston against Alabama. That didn't go well. Well, if I would have gone NC State plus Yale, I think that would have definitely made me at least $40 on top of the initial bet that I placed. So it's just kind of a fun way of making combinations of those 4 teams. And if anything hits, you get paid. If it's 2 teams that hit, you get paid for the parlay of both of them, plus each of them individually winning. And if it's 3, then you get paid 7 times. It's a pretty fun way to bet. It was a $75 bet, so I got about 30 and change back. So got half of the money back, so that's cool. This week, I'm looking at it's called a Yankee bet, where I basically need 2 of these 4 teams to hit in order to get paid. And again, playing with the teams that I think could pull upsets. They have positive odds. They have good things going. To me, the one game again that I totally would avoid, and we're in Wisconsin, so we can't even bet this game here, is NC State Marquette. I do not see that being an upset. I think Marquette is just way more talented than them. I would totally take Marquette in this game. The games that I do think that are vulnerable, though, and I want to see what you think, or if you think there is a game that is more vulnerable than the 4 that I'm looking at. I think Duke can upset Houston. I think Gonzaga can take down Purdue. I think Clemson could have a shot against Arizona. And then the final game that I have is Alabama against North Carolina.
So let's see here. What am I looking at? Honestly, I don't have really any upsets except Gonzaga.
Okay. Yeah.
I just don't believe in Purdue, so like,
No,
it's not going to
I do
change.
not either. But I mean, I guess the only thing that I see with a possible Alabama is, I mean, they looked a little rusty going into their first game against Charleston, but outside of that, they cruised past them and then they cruised past Grand Canyon. I'm not totally sold about North Carolina. I've heard that if North Carolina matches up with Arizona, there is talk that Arizona will be the favorite in that game.
I like Arizona and over North Carolina as well.
Yeah.
Just going through the Zags schedule, they've beaten Yale. They did lose to Purdue in the beginning of the season
Yeah.
by 10,
Okay.
but they beat Yale. They beat USC, UCLA. Um, they beat Kentucky. and St. Mary's. Like they've got
That's
some
pretty
pretty
good.
solid wins on their resume.
They do.
Um, I think they match up pretty well against them. They shoot the ball really well, and they're fast paced. So I don't know how long Edie's going to be out there, um, but
Yeah.
that's the only one I actually see. I'm starting to think Chalk is going to start, and this is how usually the tournament goes. Once you get to that like Sweet 16, Elite Eight, it starts to just become the higher seeds just winning.
It does. And there was something about last season. It was an outlier. It was definitely more double digit seeds, but I do feel too that if we have the data to back it up, I do feel the matchups are definitely going to become more into play with kind of how your style of play matches up with the team that you're paired up against. And I do wonder if some of these teams like a North Carolina can keep up with the pace of Alabama. I don't exactly know the pace of Clemson, but how's that going to match up with Arizona? I think Creighton and Tennessee, I think they both are quick pace teams. I think NC State just cannot match up at all against Marquette. But again, your matchup with Gonzaga and Purdue, and then I think Duke is going to try to use its size against Houston. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. To me, I think at this point, yes, there's chalk, but I think these teams are all starting to get pretty good. Where I could almost see half these games being an upset. I don't know exactly which ones. I mean, I definitely feel strong about Connecticut and Marquette, but the other ones, I just don't feel for sure. I mean, Tennessee and Creighton, that's to me, that feels like a straight up pick 'em. But the other five, let me see, one, two, three, four, five. Um, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about Illinois and Iowa State, to be honest, but I do feel like at least half of those five games could be upsets.
Yeah, I mean
So,
they're going to be slight upsets. Every
right.
seed's pretty close now.
Yes, every seed's in it. They're all pretty close. It is what it is, but we'll see what happens. So, got some good matchups there. Real quick before we get off college hoops. So right now I'm seeing Iowa is playing West Virginia on the women's side. I caught Connecticut winning against Creighton. I saw Indiana against Oklahoma, and then I saw NC State, their women's team, get a win today. I don't know who is on that NC State team for the women's side, but I'm telling you, that team is fast. There's some woman on that team that looks like Russell Westbrook. Like she had the ball, she was at the rim. It was just like Russell Westbrook. So I don't know what's going on there, but check your women's bracket and see where NC State's going to match up because I'm telling you that team is scary. I don't know who they're going to play against next, but NC State women Wolfpack. That's a new kid on the block in my book.
Let's see if I can look it up really quick
Yeah, let's see who you got.
because
I think they would be Elite Eight bound, or wait, no, their tournament started early, so they are in the Sweet 16. Is my guess.
apparently I'm getting pushed to the NIT, and
Oh,
it's
don't
telling
don't watch that.
me that
Nobody watches that.
Wisconsin's getting beat by Southern Indiana.
Oh,
Jeez, I know,
yeesh.
right?
I did not know there was a
You
Southern
said
Indiana. I know there's a Southern Illinois, but I didn't know Indiana had a team.
you said N, the NC State?
Yeah,
Huh. Okay,
they're a
I'm
three
I'm
seed.
not seeing it.
A
They're
three seed.
they're a 3 seed.
Yes,
Oh, you
and they
know
just
what?
took down Tennessee.
If I swipe down a little bit, that would definitely help.
Ah, that's no debate.
They're playing Stanford. That one's
Ooh,
gonna be tough. That's
I'll,
gonna
I'll
be
take
tough.
NC State. I'll take the upset there. I know I put Stanford in the Final Four, but I'm telling you, man, I watched them today. I'm like, whoa, that's different. I mean, I was seeing a good amount of Connecticut today. They're better than Connecticut.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. There was a young lady on Iowa State that is just a like monster. Um, Super strong, goes in the paint, just seals it, just
Yep.
goes straight up.
Nice.
Oh, I'm good. I'm getting sounds. There we go.
Okay.
Um, I'm a little disappointed that they lost to Stanford, but I understand it. Stanford's really good.
Yeah.
Wow, holy bananas. Okay, Stanford had someone put up 41, and Iowa State had someone put up 36. What a
That's
game!
a game.
I might go back and watch that one.
Interesting. Yeah, I know there's that tall woman that plays for Stanford. She's in some of the New Balance commercials with like Kawhi Leonard and them. Yeah, she's definitely part of their basketball campaign.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
I'm not not very aware of her. You know what? The one thing I gotta say about women's college basketball, they have more stars than men's college basketball.
And it used to be that way in the men's game, especially in the early 2000s. And then
Yeah,
the whole John Calipari one and done thing, it changed. And they need to get that back. They need to
yeah.
figure this out. And it will be better for the players and it will be better for the game. And bring this back to the NBA, this also has to happen because really America needs to be fighting tooth and nail for basketball against the world, and these guys are not being developed like they should. And it's why the international players are so much better. And it is why I heard for the first time today that Adam Silver is legitimately kicking around for the All-Star game next year, USA versus the world.
Hmm. Well,
And yeah.
yeah. I I guess I could see that. I mean, the world has like the world's really top heavy, um, but I don't think they stand a chance. Like, yeah, they
Oh,
have
I
Giannis,
disagree. I
Jokic,
think they're better.
Luka, and
They have
Shea.
Nikola Jokic. They have
Yeah,
Shea
that's it.
Alexandrius. Yeah,
But
SGA.
but everybody else is kind of mid.
Hmm. But there's always like big like foreign guys that can play inside the post. So I think they're fine.
Yeah, but that's it.
Okay.
Like they have no guards or like wings at all.
Hmm.
At
Okay.
least like after Shea and Luca, it's. I mean, and don't get me wrong, top of the top.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think this is definitely going to be close. They also have Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah, another big though, another big.
True. True.
And for, I mean, to be honest, Embiid will probably play for the U.S. because that's kind of what he's trying to do for the Olympics. Um,
That's a tweener.
uh, like the bigs are much better in the world, but guard play, it's not
Right.
even close.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm
That
trying
is
to think
definitely
of
true. It's
more.
just that I know, like, even for college, I think I think the team I want to point out is Arizona. I think Arizona is almost 100% like international players on their starting lineup.
Let's see here.
I thought I heard
I'm
that
actually
somewhere. It's
checking.
either them or it's Gonzaga, but I really want to say it's Arizona because Arizona used to be
What would
Sean Miller, who
USA
would
versus
obviously recruit domestically.
right? What would USA versus the world look like? Um, Kawhi, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Lillard, Beal, Kyrie. Like, man, they have Shea, Jamal Murray, and then it kind of gets really fuzzy after that.
Yeah, it does.
Rudy Gobert,
Oh, they got Rudy
Siakam,
Go. Oh gosh,
Vucevic.
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's trying to find an updated one because I feel like that looked a little old.
Uh huh.
Um, yeah, that. I mean, Jamal Murray's solid, but am I going to put him up against like Kyrie or James Harden or
Or Steph.
Anthony Edwards? Like, no.
Oh, there you go. I think that's your game changer right there. Is Edwards. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Let's see.
And plus even what's his name? The LA Laker, the guy that was drafted, then traded away and now is back. Blanking on the name. The guy that crushed it against the Bucks without LeBron.
Oh, D'Angelo Russell.
Yes. Yeah, I think he's a great addition too, actually. I don't know if he would
So
qualify
let's
for the
see.
All-Star game, but he'd be good.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah. I know. I know.
um, there's they're saying Pascal Siakam, Rudy Gobert, Lowry Markkinen, DeAndre Ayton. Like those are
But
all
it's
big
big.
still.
They're all
Uh,
bigs. Yeah, they need
OG
shooting.
Anunoby, Andrew Wiggins, Bojan Bogdanovic. Like none of those guards and wings. Like if I go Steph Curry,
Dame.
Ja Morant, Devin Booker, Dame Lillard, James Hart, like Anthony Edwards, like they don't stand a chance in guards. And then we
Right.
throw out LeBron, Durant, Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum,
Yeah.
Cat, Kawhi, Zion. Like, yeah, no, nope.
Yeah. That's true.
And
That
then
is totally true.
if we get Joel Embiid, like I don't really see anything they can do. Like, all right,
Yeah,
but
I still don't think it matters because threes will be bigger than twos.
If it's Jokic and Giannis, right? Uh, like Joel Embiid against Jokic, Anthony Davis and Giannis, like that kind of evens out. After that, like
I think we
even
need
if
an
you count,
executive decision that Joel Embiid is international.
is that what they're gonna do?
I would believe so. Yeah.
Because he's gonna play for the Olympic team, so
Yeah, I
he's
know.
gonna
I
play
get
for
it.
the U.S.
I know he's Team USA, but he is definitely. It needs to be. Where are you born? Where I know where you reside is a thing, but where were you born? Take it
Well,
from there.
he's a U.S. citizen though.
Oh, he is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But I believe he's internationally from is it Cambodia or is it
Cameroon.
or Cameroon? My bad. Yeah, I thought it was Cameroon. Yeah.
But even if you give him Embiid though, like you can't play 4 7-footers at the same time.
No, not at all.
I mean,
Exactly.
you could try.
Yeah, it's not going to go right. Where just like you said, it's more inside heavy than it is outside, and eventually the threes would overtake the twos.
Hmm.
And on
Because
top of that, guy's not playing defense anyways.
I mean, like who you put Durant, Curry, Devin Booker, and Dame Lillard just shooting threes, like that would be insane.
Can we also be like the NBA Cup and put like $1 million on this game per player?
Oh,
That
oh,
has to happen. Like, put money on this. Like, you're a pro sports organization.
like let's see what happens.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, I even
Um,
saw like there's some like cooking show that like some guy is putting like everyone that shows up has to put 5K down for whatever this cooking show is in order to compete. Yeah. Like that's some wild stuff. Like I think there is something cool with that. I know like the big three was kind of into something like that. But yeah, the NBA Cup, the All Star game, that would be really cool.
yeah, like I don't know. Now this has kind of got my attention, and now I'm like, ooh, I'm jumping down this rabbit hole later.
Yeah,
Uh,
but yeah,
like,
exactly. But I first heard about NBA World versus USA. Obviously, I heard it with the was it Nick Carton on Fox. I've heard him bring it up multiple times, and today was the first time that I heard it mentioned on. It was either Colin Cowherd or I just saw it across the scroll, the ticker on the bottom by Adam Silver. But it is definitely becoming more relevant going into next year's All Star game for sure. Plus, international people would tune in to watch
like
a little bit more, so that's pretty cool.
oh Oh, absolutely. I mean, it would be something. I'll tell you that it would be something. I
Maybe
I
Shohei
just
Otani
don't.
could bet on that game. Too soon?
Whoa, whoa! I don't think you
Whoa.
can say that yet. That is.
Oh, I can't say that yet.
Oh,
I got to wait till next week's episode. Then I can say it.
okay. So I found a starting lineup. All right. So
Okay.
they're going Jokic, uh, Wembanyama, Giannis,
Okay.
Luca, and Shea. I love that starting
Gotcha.
lineup. Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
I like that
That's
lineup.
solid.
Yeah, that's pretty
The
good.
other side is Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Booker, Steph, and LeBron.
I'll take Team USA.
In that scenario, I'm taking Team World. But then
Ooh.
the benches come out.
Uh
It's
oh.
for the world, it's Siakam, Cat, Ananobi, Jamal Murray, Andrew Wiggins. For USA, it's Dame, Kawhi, Jimmy Butler, Tatum, and they do have Embiid on Team USA.
That's a tweener still. I still
Oh,
like
to me,
USA's bench.
yeah, to me, the USA bench is way better. Like you have
Yeah.
literally uh playoff Jimmy, the second best shooting guard in Dame Lillard. You have
Yes.
Kawhi Leonard, one of the best defenders in the league. Tatum is a perennial MVP candidate. Like
Yep.
Cat, Siakam, Wiggins, and Ananobi. I, to be honest, I don't care about any of them.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Ayanobi. I mean, we're, we're talking about the guy on the Chicago Bulls, correct?
No, he was on Toronto and he got traded to New York, but he hasn't
Oh.
played like in like 2 months.
Oh. Whoops. I don't know who that is.
Most people don't.
Whoops. Yeah, because when you said that, I was like, wait, isn't that the guy from Illinois on the Bulls? That's he's got a name similar to that.
Oh, Io DeSumo.
Io
Or
DeSumo, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
he's awesome. I mean, from March Madness a couple of years ago. Also, what happened to Kofi Cockburn? Is he just not in the league, or like is he like in a G League or something?
I don't even know who that is.
He was the big guy for
Kofi.
Illinois. Yeah, yeah, it was
Oh,
Kofi
oh,
and
oh,
oh Oyembo, or I'm blanking on the name, but like he was the guard, Kofi was the inside guy. They were like a dominant top seed in March
oh.
Madness, and then they ran into Loyola, and we know how that goes.
Yeah. So he was on a 10-day contract with the Utah Jazz, and then he played in Japan, and
Okay,
now he plays in South Korea.
good stuff. That's cool. Hey, he's playing somewhere.
Yeah, I mean that's yeah, but
Yeah, he was
wow.
never a shooter or like anything like today's NBA big man player needs to be, but he
Uh,
was really cool playing for Illinois. So good stuff.
like I'm just looking at his numbers. His numbers match Zach Edey. Like he averaged at Illinois last year 21 and 11.
Yeah, I think Edie will probably be on a path like that. He'll probably be either a G League or he'll play internationally professional basketball somewhere. And that's nothing to slouch at. That's really good stuff. You can make a really good living doing that. So more
Yeah.
power to those guys. I remember when Kofi was teammates with our guy on the Chicago Bulls, and the Bulls guy had a face injury, and he had like this awesome like Batman carbon fiber mask, kind of like LeBron had, but his is better, almost like Rip Hamilton style too.
Oh,
But man, I was hoping literally he would just play with that mask forever. It looked so cool when he was wearing it at Illinois. He might have brought it back for a little bit for Chicago, but man, he was so cool when he was wearing it with the Illini.
oh wow. Oh,
Yeah.
oh wow.
Yeah,
I just looked it up, and
it's the
what
coolest
in
ever.
the world?
Yes. Yeah, like by far the best thing ever from what I've seen a player wear. So like man, he's an awesome guy and definitely probably my favorite player on the Chicago Bulls now.
I I would definitely say he's one of my favorite players on the Bulls. He's actually playing really really well lately. Um,
Yeah.
which
He had a good rookie
for
season
people that
too.
yeah, basically everyone on the Bulls is either hurt or they don't want to play anymore. Zach Levine. I
Yeah.
didn't mean to say that name out loud or anything, but Zach Levine. Um,
Can Shohei
is
Otani be?
one of
Oh wait, sorry, too soon, too soon.
too soon.
I know.
But Iodosumu is like he's averaging like 12, 3 and 3. These last couple games, I think he had like a 30 or 40 point game a couple games
Money.
ago. Like
Yeah,
he's
he's
a
balling. He's
solid.
got almost like that Ja Morant kind of style about him.
Yeah, yeah, he played against Houston. He hit 83% of his threes and put up 85, 35 points.
Wow. Yeah, that's really impressive. Good stuff.
Yeah, totally. And if it matters for fantasy basketball, he's the top. He's a number 22 shooting guard.
Wow.
Uh,
That's no debate right there. That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's
mhm.
only 32 teams in the league. So he's the 22nd best at his position is remarkable. That's really cool actually. For a guy
Yeah.
who's been in the league what, 2-3 seasons?
Oh, I don't even know. That's a good
This is
question.
either year 2 or year 3 for him. Cuz yeah, basically he really got onto the scene the year after COVID, when Obi Toppin's season got canceled. So
Oh,
I would think he's only been in the league
he was a
maybe. Yeah, he was a
second round
pick.
pick.
I mean, this guy like he shot up the draft board. I know, and people were kicking him around for like either Cleveland or Sacramento. But then there were people saying like, "Hey, this guy might go to Illinois. I mean, he might go to Chicago, being from Illinois." And the Bulls made it happen. I mean, it's like what's his name, Podzinski playing on Golden State Warriors, where it's like the college you play for is just down the road. We're going to go take a look on you and we're going to know
Yeah,
you better than any other team scouting you. So we're going to probably bring you in.
yeah. It's his third season. Like he's
Awesome.
having a heck of a season. I mean, he's shooting like 40% or 39.7% from three. And
Nice.
like I
I love
said,
that growth.
he's beginning to start a little bit.
Yep.
DeMar DeRozan has been out. Zach Levine's been out.
It's going to be his team.
Russo's been out. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
basically.
his team. Yep. I mean, to be honest, those guys, they're all getting older. Their contracts are expiring. They have to get more, they have to get younger. They really do. I mean, I know it's a team that was kind of close. You had Lonzo Ball, awful knee injuries, and then Caruso, Levine, they all get hurt. They really gotta like revamp that team like ASAP. And I think he is the face. He is now going to be the face of the franchise going into year 4. So they got to make something for him.
I don't really understand why they didn't trade Levine and Debo.
I was hearing talks about that before the season started. It was like, hey, this is probably a good idea to get those guys unloaded so we can kind of replenish and restart. And it just never happened.
Yeah, they're basically going to lose DeRozan for nothing.
Yeah, at this point they are. It sucks, but the whole team just got hurt at the same time, fell apart. And you're right. Now you're at the point where one of those guys is going to just go away for nothing. So it kind of is what it is, and they got to turn a page, and who better to do it with than Io?
I'm in for that. I might
So
actually watch a Chicago Bulls game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, he is totally my favorite guy. So yeah, awesome, cool stuff there. But yeah, So that's everything we got for NBA and some college hoops, men's and women's side. So definitely more women's games to watch. I know we got Iowa going on right now. Seeing a little bit of Paige Becker's getting interviewed. So really cool stuff. I think also tonight our nightcap game on the women's side is Juju Watkins and Southern Cal, and I think she might be the best player in the nation. Then again, like I said, I do. I totally think she is the one now. But again, I'm going to keep my eye on whenever NC State plays that game against Stanford. Hopefully, they put that game on way late at night, being hopefully a Stanford home game for that. So, yeah, if you can get NC State Stanford, try to watch that game whenever that comes on next. That's no debate.
State Stanford. That is gonna be on Friday.
Friday, awesome, cool.
Yep.
Friday game there. So good stuff, man. Cool. So
I just had to look it up really quick. Wow, NC State for being what seed are they?
NC State's a 3.
Okay, that makes more sense because they're only lost behind Stanford.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. So I think that's everything we got for a show tonight. So yeah, for myself, Steve Metrics, and your boy
DJ Triggs.
That is No Debate.